Well, actually, I started out collecting perfume bottles when I was very young, about 12, 13 years old. My mother gave me a perfume bottle, and from then I started to collect them to make my bedroom look more glamorous and beautiful. And as the collection grew and grew, then somebody asked me, "Do you want to be a perfumer?" And actually, I hadn't thought about it before, because in England, we don't think about becoming perfumers. But it put the idea in my mind, and it was something I wanted to do. So it started off when I was about 14. Well, at the Ormonde Jayne studios, it's in London. And there we are making all the products ourselves. So there's different sections to our company. There's one area where we make bespoke perfume. And that's if we have a private client who comes to us, or maybe a company, and they ask us if we can create something for their company or with their name on it. But we also make the Ormonde Jayne products in-house. So the candles are all handmade, and the perfumes are made in-house. And I have a team of 3 or 4 girls, and they are trained to make bathing oil, perfumes, candles. The only thing we don't make is anything in a tube. That's done for us. So there's 2 sides to the company. The bespoke side and also the private label side, and then also the Ormonde Jayne range, which is what we're here today for, but that is also all made by hand in London. The whole philosophy of Ormonde Jayne perfumes is about creating perfumes not widely used in the perfume industry, and that idea came to me about 12 years ago. I wanted to create perfumes using ingredients that was a little bit more unusual. So that took me on a lot of trips because I had to find these ingredients. So eventually, I went off to India and I came back with the champak flower. So we have the perfume champaka, which is also now a very popular perfume, and the other creators also have this perfume, but we did it 8 years ago. Also, I discovered the oil oud in the Middle East. In the Middle East, they're wearing it in a very strong concentration. But my idea was to put it into a perfume for Western people. So we just put 6 parts in 1,000. And so your journey takes you off to Peru, and you find the tolu, the sweet resin from a tree. We wanted to do a woody perfume, but of course we don't want to use sandalwood or cedarwood. We want to find something more unusual. So we found the hemlock, which comes from Canada. And the hemlock is quite mysterious for us because it's actually a poisonous herb. So it also adds a little bit of mystery to the perfume collection and makes Ormonde Jayne, what it is today. So the collection is made up of all these fantastic ingredients from all over the world. And consequently, the eau de parfum, which is at a 25% strength, is made using the natural oils. The most natural perfume we have is Ormonde Woman, which is probably 100% natural. But usually each creation is approximately 80% natural and 20% synthetic. I think it's very important to use synthetic molecules because quite a few of them perform in an extraordinary way. So, for example, hedione, iso-e-super, putting these into a perfume allows the perfume to open up, and you get to smell the top note and the heart and the base notes coming through. So for me, it's very important to have both natural and synthetic. We have more natural than synthetic, but I do have a few favorite synthetic molecules that I can't live without, and I need them for each perfume. So the name of the company is Ormonde Jayne, and of course I'm Linda Pilkington. My name is not particularly romantic or mysterious, and I didn't really like the idea of seeing my name on a shop each day. But my first laboratory where I worked from was called Ormonde Terrace, and I'm Linda Jayne. So we put the both together and we formed the company Ormonde Jayne. But originally, when I first started out, I had to do my first invoice, and it was to Chanel. And I had written it on a piece of paper. I had just written Linda Pilkington, and I produced the invoice to them, and they said, you can't, this is not an invoice. You have to have a company, and it has to be on proper paper. You can't write it in ink. So I went home that night and had to think of a company name and register it. So I put together Ormonde Jayne so I could produce and create my first invoice to Chanel, which was the start of Ormonde Jayne. Well, you might think I've taken a long time to come to Italy, but actually I haven't, because Ormonde Jayne is really not available in lots of countries. We have a couple of shops in London, and we sell in Harrods, and now we're selling in Italy. So, it might seem like a long time, but in London we have a lot of Italian customers that come to our store year in and year out, and they like the style of Ormonde Jayne. So it seemed logical to come here. And this shop actually is our first point of sales in Italy, and it's probably the finest shop in the world, I'd say. If somebody asked me, what was really an Ormonde Jayne perfume, I would say you would get some of my perfumes are very abstract. But when I say abstract, I don't mean they are strange. They're all beautiful, and they're all very, very well constructed. But there's something for everybody. And the floral perfumes are beautifully balanced. The abstract perfumes, like Champaca and Ormonde Woman, we have a big following for that as well. So to describe an Ormonde Jayne perfume, I would call them extraordinarily beautiful. The people who wear Ormonde Jayne, I am very lucky that they become completely loyal to Ormonde Jayne. Once you wear the Ormonde Jayne perfumes, there's no going back. They're very addictive, and the people that wear them come from all walks of life. So we get young girls who work in the area of London. We also get the perfumistas who absolutely adore perfume and come to our store because they want to smell them. And we also get gentlemen that want to buy very beautiful gifts, as presents for Christmas or birthdays. But one thing in common is that they all have the love for something fine and something beautiful. So a lot of our clients, perhaps, they would probably go to a coffee shop to buy their particular coffee bean, or they would go to Savile Row to have their suit made. So they are usually people who know what they like, and they like things to be special and very well made. So that's why they come to Ormonde Jayne.